Hi there, my name's BrookhouseK and welcome back to my Planet Coaster 2 theme park. Now, it's been a long while since I've actually uploaded a video. It's been nearly 10 months and the park has changed massively since my last upload. The last upload came just after update 1, which just goes to show how long ago my last update was. What I'm going to do over the course of 2 videos is give you a guided tour of the park in its current state. The first half will be covering a lot of what existed before I stopped uploading, but I've done lots of updates to those areas as new packs have been dropped and my skills have developed as well, so there'll be lots to look at even if you've seen some of the old videos. In part 2, what I'll do is I'll show you all of the new areas, which include the Wild West theme, the pirate theme, the fantasy theme, and of course the latest sorcery update. So come along with me and let's have a look around the park. Just here in front of us is the entrance that I built with the Viking theme way back over a year ago when the game first dropped. Now the ticket booth in front has been completely redesigned as my skills developed. It was very poor to begin with, and pathing tools have helped as well, as those have got slightly better to make sure that the paths go around this ticket booth properly, but it just fits in with the entrance now and feels more part of the park. Let's have a little wander through the entrance, and this is very similar to how it was before. The only things I've done is I've taken out a few of the animatronics inside, and you can see the logo that we're just about to go under that appears around the park. Well, it looks like there's a little bit of a bottleneck just there. I might have to sort that out. And then that comes out into this entry plaza where there's a Viking ship that's sunk into the ground. There's an information kiosk with a windmill, and then we look up to the right and we get our first glimpse of Edoras, which is based on the Viking hall from Lord of the Rings. So I think we probably better go up there. The idea for Edoras came about because I stood in this location before I built it, and there was a bit of a promontory there, and I just thought it really needed something stuck on top, and Edoras seemed like the obvious choice. So on the way up to Edoras we go past a gift shop. Now the gift shop was built way before we got the shop module available, but there are in here some shop shelves off the workshop, but I've added a few extra bits that came along with the shop modules just to spruce up the shelves and make them seem a little bit more believable. Then as we go up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up into the air a little bit so we can see the landscape. So I've done quite a bit of landscaping just here with some waterfalls, and then this is Thor's hammer, which is got quite an elaborate piece that I built on the end of it. Let's go up a little bit higher towards this roller coaster, which is the first one that I built. So this has had quite a bit of work done on it. I've restructured the roller coaster to make it a little bit more favourable for people to ride, and I've changed the entrance because originally this entrance just here was behind the roller coaster and it was kind of hidden, so I've put it in front so the roller coaster goes behind it, which is actually much better. Now if we go towards the building itself, then the outside has had little done to it really. It's very much how it was when I first built it. I've done a little bit of recolouring, but I have added some toilets in the front of it. And when we got the photo booths and the shop module, then I've added this here, shop module on the left and the photo booth on the right for the exit to the ride. And when we go into the hall itself where the station is, there's been quite a lot of landscaping done inside just to make it feel a little bit better, and we've got the fireplace just here roaring away, which I actually am quite pleased with. Originally this area was up on the hill and didn't really go anywhere, so any guest that came up here had to travel back down the same path. So I linked this path here that goes over the top of the coaster, just here in this valley, and then through the hillside underneath another coaster that we'll look at in a short while. The second Viking themed coaster then comes down this hill, through this valley, over a lot more waterfalls, and then off to the main part just over there. But the path that we've just followed comes down here, and as it comes down these steps just here, we meet a sun flare that's Viking themed, just up there. There we go, big tall sun flare. But what I also wanted to do is use the newly installed restaurants as they came out probably 6 months ago now, and I built a restaurant just here that overlooks the coaster as it comes down this big banked turn here, over this bit of water, and then back into the main section of the coaster. But it's quite a dramatic place to sit and have a bite to eat as the coaster streams past. I've just gone up into the air a little bit above the restaurant to follow the path back to the entrance to the coaster that we've just been looking at. So there's a plaza just down here, and I've named that the Flight of the Valkyries, which is named after a Viking legend. I was really proud of this when I built it, and I still am. I really like the way that the queue has lots of interactions and really interesting moments, and it goes off down the valley and through past waterfalls, which I'm not going to show you now because I have got a detailed video on that. We're now looking back towards the entrance, and we've got a very slightly Viking themed big wheel, but just here is a Viking themed teacup ride. So if we go down towards that, we'll have a little look. It's styled as a roundhouse, and again, this is the first themed flat ride that I did, and it's still holds up really quite well. It was the first time that I'd built a dome, so I built that out of bales, and then there is a whole video on this, so go and check that out. I had quite a bit of trouble in the initial stages just mirroring all of the scenery on the ride itself. Then the final part of the Viking area, just to the side of the entrance here, is a slightly raised plaza with some food stalls that overlook the next area that we're going to visit, which is the industrial area. So we enter the industrial area over the Iron Bridge, which is a bridge that actually exists, so it's based on something in real life in Telford in the United Kingdom. Now, I've done a lot of landscaping on either side of this bridge just to make it fit in and feel a lot more natural. To begin with, it was very sparse and it just felt really empty, but it leads you to this next plaza that I built using the pathing tool in the shape of a Union flag. Now, around the edge of this are two iconic buildings from Britain. I wanted to make this very UK centric, so we've got the Crystal Palace that was built to celebrate the Great Exhibition, and we've also got the Victoria Baths, which is a building that exists in Manchester, and you can actually go inside it and see the swimming pools. I think they've actually filled one of the swimming pools, and so this was one of the first places where I built a pool. I wanted to use the pools that are available in Planet Coaster 2, and it seemed like the logical thing to do to fit in with the theme of this area. And then I've also got a pool within the Crystal Palace, and there is also a tree in the middle which is slightly reminiscent of the actual Crystal Palace that was built because that had trees inside it as well. Then we go over to the other direction. We've got a chair swing that's themed red, white and blue, and it leads us to a coal mine. Now this is based on a coal mine that's near to where I live. So we've got the recreated National Coal Board sign, and then these buildings just here that are part of the station are based on real life constructions at the mine itself. This is the back of the Victoria Baths, and if we spin round we see the Victoria Mill, which is another building based in the Manchester area, and this houses a log flume. Now I built a log flume first, and it's got lift hills and it's got turntables as well, so it's quite complicated. So I needed quite a big structure to enclose the main part of the ride. I wanted some outside and I wanted some of it to come into this lagoon just here, but there's quite a lot inside as well, and I've themed the inside as a homage to classic sci-fi TV, really to try and make use of the sci-fi pack when it dropped. So let's have a quick look inside there. At the end of the first drop we enter this small little room that's got an alien waiting, but the starfields surrounding it, so actually you can't really see a great deal of this as you come through on the ride, because you go through very quick, and so it's only really giving you a bit of an indication. Then we go up this lift hill just here and drop down into this room here where I've built a little scene. Now we've got an AT-ST from Star Wars that I didn't build, that was a blueprint off the workshop, so I can't take credit for that. But just down here on the floor is a TARDIS that I did build, and I'm quite pleased with the way that that turned out. It's quite a faithful replica of the TARDIS. The ride then comes back outside for a quick little detour and a bit of fresh air before it goes back into the building just here. As the ride enters the building, it then goes on to a lift, and that takes it up this very sci-fi themed area just here to the next level. We follow the boat down this tube just here before entering the final room that contains another set piece. The car will turn on a turntable and go backwards, so it gets a really good view of Thunderbird 3, and this is another build that I did, again, that I'm really proud of. It did take a little bit of tinkering to get it looking right. The nose is not quite pointed enough, but I was really pleased with the way that this looks. And so we've got some more scenery just here based on the sci-fi pack as the boats go through this area, down a bit of a drop before having the final glance back into this room and seeing Thunderbird 3 before it turns round and then goes back towards the outside and the end of the ride. Just to the side of the Victoria Mill is a swimming pool with a lazy river. Now the swimming pool gets quite busy, the lazy river never seems to, and at the time when I built it I used a lot of the aquatic pack to decorate it, but as time went on it just seemed to be completely out of place. And when we got the update that allowed the water in the pools to be coloured, I basically coloured the pool black, and all of the aquatic pack as well went black, and it just makes it fit in with the industrial theme much better. And I built these buildings as well from scratch just to fit with a little bit more of an industrial theming, and everything's gone black just so it fits together to make sure the theme feels coherent. The final bit that I'll show you in this video is Tudor England. Now, if you did watch some of my original videos, you might realise that I started filming videos on the console, but as I got to this area, I found that I was hitting the piece count limit, so I had no option but to transfer onto PC. So everything from this point onwards was built on PC. So we come into Tudor England, and it's a different period in history. I just wanted to do something slightly different. So this is called the Tudor Twist. Now, it is actually based on a Planet Coaster blueprint, but everything else has been redesigned around it. So the coaster itself is a blueprint, but I've landscaped the whole thing. I've built the station. I've renamed it slightly. I can't remember what the original was called, but I've just made it fit with the theme. Then this coaster that I've called 8, obviously named after Henry VIII, and the station is built in a replica or inspired by Hampton Court, which is a residence of Henry VIII in London. This coaster was custom built, and the station has had quite a big overhaul. Originally it was very plain, but I've made it really quite elaborate in here to make it feel like a bit of a stately home. So this spinning ride just here is built around a maze theme, and the guests kind of avoid the hedges. I've just placed them where they don't walk, so they're not really affected, and there's not much clipping either. And then we've got a custom building just here that I've used for toilets and food vendors, and then we've got a drop tower just here themed with the black and white theming. And then as part of 8, the coaster comes along just here onto a tilt section and drops down into this hole to make a bit of a centerpiece for the area. Then one of my most elaborate builds that I've done is one based on a Tudor house in Cheshire called Little Morton Hall, and so it's quite elaborate. It took quite a lot of work because we've got lots of patterning on the sides. There are different levels that stick out. The real building is very wonky, but I didn't go as far as making it quite as wonky. Then outside any building that's been based on a real life building, I've put a little plaque with some dates so I can identify when it was built. So this is built in 1504. Then we've got this helium ring just here that I've themed red because I thought it would be quite interesting to base it on the Ring of Roses nursery rhyme that came from the Tudor times. And we finally go over here to a custom built coaster that goes into a hole in the ground and has got a Tudor themed station just here. Hope you've enjoyed part 1 of our look around this bit of the park, but there's at least as much again to see in part 2. If we spin around, we get to see the western area just over there that is really quite developed. Underneath where we are at the moment, there's a pirate area, and that moves into the fantasy and sorcery area just over here that I've got lots to talk about and show you about as well. And there's even another roller coaster hiding just over here in the trees that is disguised because that is what I call the nature coaster. Thanks a lot for watching that video. I do hope to see you in part 2, and if you'd like to take a more detailed look around the park, then I will put the share code down below in the description. You can do me a really big favour by clicking the like, subscribe and the bell notifications. That way you stay up to date with all my future content, and it really does help out the channel. But all that's left now is to say thanks again for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.